Hey everyone, and welcome. So think about this. Every single time you click a button, stream a movie, or send a message, it has a physical footprint, a massive, hidden one. Today, we're going to pull back that curtain and take a look at the real-world foundation of our digital lives, because it is going through a huge and, honestly, a really necessary evolution.
All right, so to really get our heads around this, we have to start with a question. A really basic question about the technology we use literally every single day, probably without even thinking about it.
I mean, we all talk about the cloud, right? It sounds so, well, cloudy. It sounds weightless and abstract, like all our data is just kind of floating around up there in the sky. But where is it really? Well, the truth is, it's not in the sky at all. Not even close. The internet lives on the ground, inside these enormous, unbelievably complex buildings that are the true engines of our digital world. And the official name for them? Data centers. These places are the physical heart of the internet. That photo you just posted, the show you're binge watching, that search you just did, it all gets processed and stored inside one of these buildings.
So, as you can probably imagine, trying to house the entire world's digital information in physical buildings, well, that creates a pretty massive dilemma, one with very, very real consequences for all of us.
Okay, just look at this number for a second. 2 to 3%. That's the slice of the entire world's electricity that data centers consume every single year. It is a staggering amount of energy, and it's a number that's only getting bigger.
And if you're trying to wrap your head around that, to put it into perspective, get this. The carbon footprint of data centers is now right on par with the entire global aviation industry. Yep, our collective streaming and scrolling habit has roughly the same climate impact as every single flight taken everywhere in the world.
And this whole environmental cost isn't just one thing. It's a whole collection of massive challenges. We're talking about just an insane amount of energy, huge quantities of water needed just to keep things cool, the carbon emissions, the electronic waste from all the old hardware, and of course, the sheer amount of land these places take up.
But here's the good news. As this problem has gotten bigger and clearer, the industry has started to fight back with a really powerful new solution, the sustainable hyperscale data center.
So let's break that down. What does hyperscale actually mean? Well, it's not just about being big. It's about being smart. It's about designing a system that can grow to a massive scale but do it efficiently, without waste, by using these streamlined, almost Lego-like modular parts.
And that quote really gets to the heart of it. This is the key philosophical shift. The goal isn't just to get bigger anymore. It's about building smarter, building more responsibly. It's about building an infrastructure that's both incredibly powerful and, conscious of the planet.
And you can see how different the approach is here. The old way was basically just blasting servers with tons of cold air, which is super inefficient, while pulling all its power from the traditional grid. The new way? It's all about advanced liquid cooling, which is way, way better at moving heat, plugging directly into renewable energy sources, and using AI to manage everything. It's just a completely different ballgame.
And here's the really powerful part. This whole evolution, it's not a trade-off. It's not a compromise. What's happening is that these innovations are creating this amazing positive feedback loop, where what's good for the planet is also what's good for the technology. Let's just walk through it real quick. It all starts with that smarter, more efficient design. That directly causes a huge drop in how much energy and water you need. That, in turn, lowers the operating costs and slashes the carbon footprint. And all that new efficiency, it frees up resources and power, which actually unlocks the door to even more innovation. It's a virtuous cycle. So what you end up with is this perfect balance. It's a win-win-win. You get a healthier planet, you get more powerful tech, and you get a more efficient economy. Everybody wins. It proves that progress and sustainability don't have to be enemies.
When you put it all together, what we're looking at is something way bigger than just an upgrade. This is a fundamental reimagining of the physical foundation that our entire digital world is built on.
Okay, so if that's where we are right now, the big question is, where are we going? What does the future of all this look like?
To really get where we're going, it helps to see where we've been. We started with these room-sized mainframe computers, then moved to server closets in the office, then to these giant traditional data centers. Sustainable hyperscale is just the latest and most important step in this long journey of innovation.
And trust me, the innovation is not stopping. The stuff being worked on right now is pretty mind-blowing. We're talking about AI that helps data centers talk to the energy grid, facilities that capture their waste heat to warm nearby neighborhoods,
fully autonomous, lights-out buildings with no people inside, and cooling tech that sounds like it's straight out of science fiction.
And all of that brings us to our final and maybe the most critical question. We know our hunger for data, for AI, for streaming, for everything is only going to grow, probably exponentially. The real challenge and the real hope is whether our innovation and sustainability can keep up with our own appetite. It's a race. And frankly, the future of both our digital and our physical worlds really depends on the outcome.